All right. I honestly don't read a whole lot of the the smaller blogs anymore. I kind of look for Aaron's blogs because I feel like those are the ones that like are the most impactful these days. A lot of times they talk about small stuff that I don't really care that much about anymore. Like really smaller niche things, but it's still cool they do them, but just putting it out there. Anyways, Director's Take loud and clear. Hi everyone. I can't believe season 19 midseason is already around the corner and heading your way next week. By the way, I thought it was this week. I thought it was actually this week. I was supposed to, the funny thing is Warren invited me to play with Aspen and Frogger again. And I was like, yeah, I'll see you guys Tuesday. And then Tuesday wasn't mid-season. I was like, just kidding. I'll see you the Tuesday after that. You'll get to see Junkrat's ultra cool Cyber Fuel mythic skin. Oh, let me mute alerts, by the way, just so I read this. And brush up on your lore with the narrative viewer. And you might even learn more about the certain gladiator lurking in the shadows. It's an exciting time to be part of Overwatch, for you and for us. Tons of things are being updated, improved, and redesigned at tracer speed level. Though many of these changes have worked out well for everyone, we know that some of them haven't been as successful as we intended them to be. Even though we're steering the proverbial ship, your feedback about everything about the game modes to menu screens helps guide us towards a brighter destination. We thought this might be a good time to tell you more about how we shift our sails in response to your feedback and how we use it to ensure the community has a voice in decision-making process. It's very interesting. We hear you. Bro, I used to dream about times like these where they put in giant bold letters on an Overwatch post, we hear you. We feel very blessed about the Overwatch community, and it's full of great ideas, hot takes, and spicy opinions. Even when we might not totally agree, that passion tells us you're also committed to making a great game. This might surprise you, but we see and consider almost all feedbacks and comments, from social media posts and live stream chats to creators or creations on TikTok, YouTube, and beyond. Why, that's like okay, it's a global entity. That's probably a good thing to say, but the reason why it's you got to be a little careful with an individual basis is saying we hear everything is. They'll see, like, there's two things, right? There's the reverse section where, like, let's say some super casual player puts out a TikTok or something that goes viral, right? And people are like, oh my God, they're listening to these idiots, right? Like, this is the idiots they're listening to because they watch all the TikToks. Or the opposite, it's used as like a harmful thing where like people put out like basically rage-inducing things targeted towards the Overwatch team because they know they'll quote unquote see it. The funny thing is I've known about this for years. Is this leaking? I feel like this is leaking, but it's not leaking. It's not leaking. Every major company does this. They basically have their own version of like a social blade, which is like a tracker, right? It's like a social tracker. And then they can track like what's the most popular topics for the week across every platform, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, everything. It talks about like viewership levels, like posts that got the most views, most likes, most dislikes. Who are the content creators that are the biggest standouts? Whether they're like just have the most views, are they consistently have the most views? There's a little tidbit in there somewhere about that one. Something king, something. And then also parts about like, oh, like this is like a rising star, or like this is like, you know, this person has been playing a lot recently, and it will like flag like, you know, oh, a big creator came into Overwatch and they don't really ever talk about it very often, right? Like they keep track of like all that stuff. They have all that analytics information, which is kind of why they say that, right? Like that's what they do. So when people say they listen to everything, it doesn't mean they're listening to everything, but they do probably see it, if that makes sense. If our developers don't catch a Reddit thread or deep dive on their own, the community community team gathers public data on sentiment and delivers it to necessary parties on Team 4. So basically, they repackage the information that program grabs and then gives it to the right teams. Some feedback we can't do much about. Giving Zenyatta a billion HP or letting Torbjorn climb walls doesn't exactly work with our vision of the game, even if you really want it. But we want you to know that we hear you loud and clear, and we deeply consider feedback that we can use when developing future seasons or updating game modes. One of our long-term goals is to build your confidence in the direction Overwatch is headed. Open communication and transparency go a long way, but we hope some of that confidence comes from our team's willingness to admit and correct changes that didn't work out as effectively as we anticipated. Hopefully people are more receptive to this now, because like when I was playing lots of Overwatch, it was very controversial to say like, oh, it's cool that they make a decision, it doesn't work out, then they walk it back. People used to get very angry at those kinds of sentiments. Hopefully not too much anymore. Stadium's back to 7. So yeah, it went to like a 5, up to 5 game mode, but apparently it didn't work out. So that's what this is about. Season 19 launched with a big change to Stadium Ranked. Matches would be a best of 5 series instead of best of 7. Our goal was to speed up the ranked Stadium experience so you'd get the fun more quickly. We also felt this was a way to mitigate mitigate the chance you'd be locked into a longer, unsatisfying match. And then people were like, "What's the point? What's the difference between quick play and ranked then?" Like, it's already kind of like a Mickey Mouse question. You know what I mean? Anyways, moving on. When we added a new feature or make a big change, sometimes initial community feedback skews negative, but evens out as time goes on and players get acclimated. That is true. We noticed this didn't happen when it came to Stadium Ranked going to best of 5. We saw continued critical feedback for multiple weeks, which made us take a serious look at our options. Based on the content of feedback, that many of you missed the strategic joy of longer games, countering your opponent's builds, and the possibility of glorious comeback runs in a close series, as well as internal opinions that gut checks from the team, we ultimately decided to revert the changes to Stadium Ranked last week. Critical feedback doesn't always mean we'll hit undo and head back to the status quo, but it does make us take a second look at how we implemented a change and why it isn't hitting how we intended. In this case, we reassessed the situation and ultimately decided to go through with a reversion. Stadium isn't all... Actually, you know what's funny? Really quickly on this one, when they did make the change, I saw a few people kind of like gut reactions say like, "Ooh, I don't like that," and then like other people were like, "Shut up, give it a try. Like it could be good." And then all those people kind of went quiet for a little bit, and then like very slowly it kind of like came back around of like, "No, yeah, no, it's still pretty bad." It is very interesting what's kind of happened there with like feedback a little bit over the last like year. I've noticed a little. But it's good that they at least still kind of see, like, if the initial burst dies down, if it's still, like, the grumbles are loud enough, they'll still revert it back. So definitely some hope on that one. Stadium is all about experimentation and testing new ways to play and enjoy Overwatch. That said, we'll be taking more time with future releases for Stadium in the future. 2 big reversions, mirrored drafts, and this change in such a short period tells us that we need to let new ideas cook longer internally before they head to your queues. We're aiming to provide higher quality features instead of quick fire updates for Stadium, so stay tuned for more. All right, I guess that's pretty good. Good reception. Most of this blog has been about how we use critical feedback, but your positive feedback and big ideas also utilize Team 4's offices. Next week, we'll be introducing the first balance patch specifically made for the 6v6 modes. Can I be real with you? This is criminal, like actually genuinely criminal, that this is the first balance patch they've gotten since 6v6 came out. Wasn't that like a year ago almost? Like a straight up year ago? When did they actually make 6v6 a permanent game mode, or at least the test? I think it literally came out in December, because it was right when Rivals came out and I didn't really get to play it that much because I was playing tons of Rivals at the time. It's literally been a year. I don't know if they've had any major ones since then. That's the problem. I don't think, from what I've seen from other people, is they haven't made any big changes since the big one at the beginning. Almost any. At least from what I've read. So, although I didn't really cover the last patch notes, so maybe there was one more recently, but I don't think so. Considering I saw a Spylo tweet that was like, "Oh my god, finally 6v6 patch." Though 5v5 reigns supreme as far as time played is concerned, 6v6 has a constant, passionate population that often tells us they love the mode. On any given day, roughly 20% of online players run through at least one game of 6v6. Wait, hold up. So, in Overwatch, we have Quick Play 5v5, Ranked 5v5, Mystery Heroes 5v5, and Stadium. And the mode that hasn't really gotten a patch since December of last year still gets 20% of the player base playing? Alright, listen. I think the 6v6 that they have is not what people actually want. They want role queue 6v6. They don't want open queue 6v6. You have that with Rivals. And to be fair, I actually like the flexibility in Rivals quite decently. However, when I played Overwatch, I liked structure because it felt more competitive. Rivals doesn't feel competitive, so I don't think it fits. But the other thing has always been queue times. And so I'm sure the queue times, if they did 6v6 role queue, would be monstrously bad. But at least in my opinion, as a tank player specifically, the difference between playing 5v5 and 6v6 is night and day. But that is the minority of an already smaller player base. The DPS and support roles arguably feel better in 5v5, if not the same. And so I think it's really sad that they're probably never going to win the war, but it's a lot of people. And part of me does wish that it was a more supported mode, and also wishes that it was role queue. Like, I think if there was ever a thing that made me play Overwatch again quite often, I think it was if 6v6 was role queue. Because I went back last week to do my 6v6 placements with Emong. Finally, we've been trying to plan a day to do this forever. And our matches were horrible, by the way. Like, we won like 2 or 3 games in a row, and I think we lost like 6 straight. And it was always against the same people. And then like after like the first 3 or 4 games, like they knew it was me and Emong, so they were trying to run it down on us, and we were forced into flexing a bunch of times. However, though, I had so much more fun than I did on the average 5v5 game. It is what it is. It's probably just not for me anymore that much, but it's something interesting to at least note that I think there's probably a large, extremely casual group of players that would love if they got to pick the game back up again. It would have the same structure that it used to have, but it doesn't, and they can't do that because of queue times. But maybe they could find a way. I don't know. Feedback has always been about what you enjoyed in this mode, and let us know that what it needed, or that it needs some attention, so keep it coming. Telling us what you're loving lately helps our team double down and improve these modes. Oh, I can tell you as like, not like an, I don't know if I should say the word outsider. I should say like more casual these days. I'll be real with you. Stadium was gas when it came out. It's definitely developed into a much more casual game mode, and I love that it's getting support, but like it's clear that the core game is getting less care now than the Stadium, and 6v6 specifically is getting even less care. So like we already had like stepchild, main child. Now we have like stepchild, main child, and like the outcast that we kind of forgot existed in the house when we moved in. He like lives underneath the foundation, you know? So it's kind of sad. Your feedback can lead to great changes for everyone, from our most competitive population to those of you who enjoy the more joyful, goofy parts of Overwatch. We can't spoil all the surprises for Season 20, but we're introducing a new feature for the highest skilled players on the leaderboard, directly inspired by our conversations with them. No, are they actually implementing some feedback? Interesting. Another Stadium map will also be headed your way in Season 20, set in a locale we haven't used for other maps, but it should look familiar if you've been keeping up with the recent lore drops. Thanks for reading. Keep sending your feedback our way, and we'll keep listening. And as always, let's make a great game together. Cool. Yeah, base game never gets a new map, Sag. That's what I mean about the part where I was talking about base game not really getting as much anymore. Overall, this doesn't have much in it. I was hoping for something a little beefier out of an Aaron trailer or Aaron dev blog, because like typically, you know, game director talk, you get some chunkier stuff in it. But overall, though, it wasn't bad. It just kind of seems like a bit of a, I don't want to say, no, I'm not trying to say nothing burger. It's more of like an acknowledgement burger with something about 6v6, you know, diet burger. Yeah, I don't know. I think that 6v6 / base game could use some significant help. But yeah, there you go. Cool. Content chat, real quick. What is it? Overwatch Stadium 5v5 6v6. Damn, that's tough. That's actually tough.